Hello, everyone. Welcome to Your Community Reach. I'm your host, Michelle Puzo, Executive Director of Your Community Cares. We're a statewide nonprofit with a mission to better connect older adults and people with disabilities to a bunch of different programs to make them stay safe at home and independent in the community. So today I'm here with Suzanne Ondrus. How are you today, Suzanne?
Thank you. Happy to be here.
How did you hear about Your Community Cares?
So I heard about Your Community Cares from the UConn Alumni Magazine. I am an alumni of UConn, and UConn sends out a paper magazine, which I actually read. I happened to be, at the time, I was looking for a partner to collaborate on an event for giving training for the hearing impaired. And I needed an organization that partners with older people. And I read the article about you, Michelle, and Your Community Cares. I reached out, sent an email, suggested, can we do a call? And the rest is history.
Yeah, it really spoke to me with the work that you wanted to do and what we do here at Your Community Cares. It's yourcommunitycares.org if people want to go to our website and see all of our programming. But when you talked about working with people with different disabilities, this is a topic that we hear all the time because a lot of times people are calling us and they're having trouble hearing us on the phone, or we have in-person events and they can't hear the guest speaker. So it was something that really spoke to me. And so it just happened at the right time. And I'm so glad that you read that article in UConn Magazine. I remember on that first initial Zoom call we had, you talked about a grant. Did you ever get that grant?
Yes, I did. It was an ageism grant. And so I'm working with an ageism organization that works to combat discrimination towards older people. It dispels negative stereotypes and fights for the fair treatment of older people. This organization is doing a series of events around October 1st. Why October 1st? Because October 1st is the United Nations International Day of the Older Person. This holiday was created 20 years ago in 1990, over 20 years ago. And my training will take place towards the end of September before the holiday.
That's amazing. We have something up our sleeve for October 1st. So for the Manchester community and the greater Hartford area here in Connecticut, more details will be coming out soon. So I'll keep that quiet. But yeah, it's really important to focus on this. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I came to Storrs in 2007 to do my doctorate in comparative literary and cultural studies. I lived in Chaplin. I love the century homes, the nature, the landscape in Connecticut. And I'm a big fan of the UConn Dairy Bar. So I love the yogurt and the dairy, the ice cream that was there. Fast forward, after getting my doctorate, I taught composition, literature, women's gender studies, African literature at universities in the US and overseas. Well, during the pandemic, as you know, the academic market, everything plummeted. I retooled into soft skills training, and I started doing trainings for diversity, equity, inclusion, sexual harassment, grant writing, women's empowerment, nonviolent communication. And presently now I am doing trainings in how to speak for the hearing impaired.
That's amazing. I mean, and yes, I think back to COVID and so many people changed their career paths, and that's awesome that you were able to do that. So how is it that you became an advocate for the hard of hearing?
So I myself am hearing impaired and have been for some time. I have a diagnosed hearing loss. Right now I'm managing without hearing aids. I suffer from not hearing people, from not hearing accurately television, radio, things on the phone. But what really has motivated me is an event that took place most recently this past July. So my mother is hearing impaired, and she has been hearing impaired for the last 20 years. This July, she had cataract surgery. I accompanied her for her cataract surgery. Before the surgery, when she was all prepped for the surgery, the nurse came in to give her instructions for the aftercare, for things to be concerned about if there were problems. And I was in the room with her. The nurse was speaking in a very low volume, and she was speaking without barely moving her lips. It was, you do this and that. My mother had told her at the beginning, she said, I have a hearing problem. Well, the nurse gave the first direction. My mother turns to me, wide eyed. Visually, you can see this is a problem. And I myself had trouble hearing the nurse. I repeated to my mother what I heard. The nurse never changed her volume or her manner of speaking. And my mother had made this facial gesture that I showed you about 3 times. It was very upsetting for my mother to not be able to hear. And it was also discouraging and upsetting for me as well. I was quite upset that the nurse did not alter her way of speaking. Here we are in a situation where we're in a hospital, there's going to be surgery, there's anesthetic, and the patient is not directly communicated with. So it showed me the seriousness of not being able to hear somebody. And I had in the past seen situations of being at the restaurant at not hearing or in a store, but this really is very serious. And it motivates me to train people in a professional capacity, in addition to socially, for how to properly speak to best be heard.
Yeah, that is critical. I mean, my past is I was a physical therapist for 20 years. So I understand what you're going through. So many families are going into doctor's appointments and having to bridge this gap of communication because there are so many um, difficult situations. So thank you for sharing that. That's really important for people to hear that professionals need to have better communications. So we put this event together, which is happening on September 29th. It's a virtual and in-person event, so anyone can join. You just have to contact us for the Zoom link, or you can come in person on September 29th. It's a Monday from 1 to 2:30 p.m. And Suzanne is going to be going over tips and tricks for how to be more better to be communicating with people that are hearing impaired. So who should attend?
Well, this training is for everybody. And people, I am worried, will think it's only for older people or it's only for hearing impaired people. No, it's for everyone. And why? Because first, we do not know who has trouble hearing. When we are talking with somebody, we do not know 100% if our message has been received. So this training is for young people, older people, for people with hearing problems, and for those with great hearing.
Yeah, it's a great point. Your community cares has done three different events. They're called eye health fairs. So the first one we did in Manchester was in January of this year. And we had an overwhelming response from the deaf blind community to come out and participate in events. We had many people with hearing loss. We had many people that were low vision. I think these topics can be better presented at the community level because, like you said, there are people of all ages that have hearing problems. So it's great that we're going to have this event to really educate people on how to better communicate with all types of folks because it's an invisible disability that we're not able to see, especially if someone has long hair and they have their hearing aids over their ears, or they don't have hearing aids, or they are deaf. We can't assume that someone can hear, right? We have to make sure that they are able to hear us. So I love this topic. I'm so excited for the event, and I'm so glad we're partnering on this. So what would you say is the typical age of people with hearing problems?
Well, there's really not a typical age. So we have young people who suffer from hearing loss. So teens, have hearing loss. About 1 in 5 teenagers has a hearing loss. And there are people with a wide range of different types of hearing loss.
Yeah, so that just speaks to the fact that this is a community event for people of all ages to join us. So we're excited. We've already been starting to take registration, but if anybody is watching this, they can call us at 860-430-4557 and they can register. They can text the same number, 860-430-4557. So you can text or call, or you can email us at info@yourcommunitycares.org and we can send you the Zoom link. Or you can just come in person to 153 Spruce Street on September 29th at 1 o'clock. We will have light refreshments, so we know that always brings a crowd when you can have some food and some goodies and some giveaways. So we're excited for this event. So do we have any other stats related to hearing deficits in American people or anything?
Yes, I'd love to share those with you. So I mentioned we have 1 in 5 teenagers that have hearing loss, 1 in 5 teens. When we look at the population age 55 to 64, there is a 25% hearing loss. So about a quarter of the population age 55 through 64 suffers from hearing loss.
Wow, that's huge demographic of people.
And it goes up when we're looking at age 65 and up, it goes to about 50% hearing loss for those age 65 and older. So it's important to be aware of this statistic. Then also, right now, there are 50 million Americans with some sort of hearing loss, 50 million Americans. It's a chronic condition. It's the third most chronic condition in the US, aside from diabetes and heart disease. The future of this is not looking good, Michelle, because the prognosis by 2050 is that there will be 2.5 billion people worldwide with hearing loss. 2.5 billion people by 2050. So this is why it's good to learn the training now and be prepared for the present and for the future. I also want to tell you something about the veteran population. So our veterans, specifically those who have served in combat zones, they suffer from a 60% noise-induced hearing loss. So it's particularly pertinent for our veteran population.
Wow. It's just unbelievable. Those stats are really staggering. And I think your community cares, we are advocating for all different types of disabilities. And this is something that people struggle so much because the hearing aids are not covered by insurance, right? So you just heard the statistics, but then insurance companies are not helping to solve the problem by covering hearing aids and things that people could use as aids to improve communication. So that is.
Yeah, I do. I want to interject an important point that just because someone here has hearing aids, it's not like putting glasses on where it's a magic fix.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting interview that I had with a participant saying that many people falsely believe that that hearing aid is a magic fix, and it's not. So we always need to be on our best speaking behavior.
Yes, that's very true. So what can people learn at the training?
Sure. So I have some questions for you to think about. Have you ever shouted to anybody in a room down the hallway?
I never shout, Suzanne, no.
You ever been on the phone and had the radio or the TV going while you were communicating on the telephone?
Maybe that could have happened, yeah.
Have you ever been asked to repeat something?
Yes, I am a low talker.
Okay, so if you answered yes or maybe to a couple of these scenarios, these are examples of poor communication techniques. And in the training, I am going to teach you how to properly communicate, how to effectively communicate so you can best be heard. There are some techniques where it is awareness and also a way of speaking that lead to a better communication. We will be practicing, and I will be explaining what is problematic in certain scenarios and certain behavior and ways of speaking that you can implement.
Great. Yeah, we can't give it all away today, but we're doing this video to really try to make sure that people are aware of this event that we're having and to try to get um, the awareness around this chronic problem that is happening. So do you have any feedback you could share with us from the hard of hearing community as to everyday hurdles that they might encounter?
Yes, this ranges from social isolation to buying cars, a whole range. So, this training really is pertinent for family members as well as professionals. S- So, hurdles that are encountered, social isolation. And I'll give a personal example. So, as I said, I suffer from hearing loss, and it's very discouraging when there's a group of people laughing and I left wondering what was said. I didn't hear it. And it makes me feel excluded and sad. Accept it because, especially if I've asked one or two times for somebody to repeat something, it's too discouraging and frustrating. It's easier just to smile and nod and pretend that I heard and somewhat feel part of the group that's smiling and laughing. But it can really lead to a great exclusion of participating and being part of a group.
Wow. Yeah, I don't always think about that but that is something that we're going to learn and I'm going to get better at after you do the training with us. So do you have any tips on resources? Where do you get more information?
Well, a tip on using cap telephones, and what that means is a telephone that has closed captions. I don't know that many people know if you have a diagnosed hearing loss, you are entitled to a government sponsored telephone landline that has the closed captions. This is part of the ADA, the American with Disability Act. I personally can attest to this. My mother has gotten one. I think it's maybe been about 7, 8 years. It has been a great game changer for her. Before, she would avoid talking to people. Now, if they call her on her cell phone, she says, please call me back on the landline. She pulls up a chair. She might sit for a couple hours and she's not frustrated. She enjoys the conversation. So I really champion looking into getting a closed caption phone. And again, they're covered by our government.
Yeah, we love the word FREE, right? Free. So that this is a federal program and we have it here in Connecticut. Every state has this. So I definitely want to get the word out about that during our training as well, because we can provide specific companies that do that. We have some local connections, so we'll talk about that in our training. So I guess the overall picture, what is your priority and how do you see yourself as an advocate for the hard of hearing?
Well, so my overall priority is to educate, let's say, the population at large in how to properly speak, how to effectively speak, so that you are best heard. And this ranges from whether you're at work or with your family, whether you know you're talking to somebody with a hearing problem or somebody that you are meeting for the first time. I also believe it has an angle for professional development. So I want to give a shout out to the UConn Career Development Center and our UConn students, urging them and other local students to attend. I believe this is a professional development skill in addition to being a life skill. In terms of professional development, did you know, Michelle, that right now we have a workforce where there are 5 generations in the same office? 5 generations. So students who are graduating and going on the job market, and those also currently on the job market, are you prepared to work with all those generations? This is one small training that will help with that. So this is a professional reason to attend and a professional advocacy reason. I think that we need to be sure our resources, whether they're hospitals or they're car dealerships, restaurants, that they are providing the best service that they can, and that is through properly speaking. And then also through aiding in communicating with our family members and our friends and our neighbors so that they too are included and they're not frustrated with not being able to hear so much.
Yes, you're so right, Suzanne. Can you let our audience know a little bit more about our upcoming program on September 29th?
Sure. So September 29th is going to be a training on how to speak for the hearing impaired and how to speak best to be heard. So this training has two parts. The first will be some testimonies that I bring in from people with hearing impairments, where they will share what it feels like to suffer from not hearing, and they will share specific scenarios. The second part is training in how to speak effectively. I will offer 8 techniques. We will practice with partners. So it's ideal if you could Zoom in with your work colleagues, for example, or with your fellow friends or students. I am going to have a few exercises where you will work in a group or with a partner. Then after the training, you will leave with a tip sheet and with links to my videos.
Awesome. Yeah, we've already gotten health departments, social workers, all kinds of people that are interested in this event because we know it's going to provide so much good information. So it's not CEUs, it's not continuing ed, but it is professional development. So again, this is a virtual community event. So if anybody is interested in that Zoom link, just email us at info@yourcommunitycares or call us. Text us 860-430-4557. It's from 1 to 2:30. And again, we're kicking off the month of October a little early, but we always love celebrating. We'll have some refreshments and join in on the fun. And Suzanne will be using Zoom as well to come into this event. So we're so excited to have you. Is there anything else we missed?
So really looking forward to the event, and I wish everybody to tune in. If you get just a couple tips, you can make this world a better place by speaking clearly so others can hear.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our event.
All right. And to those at home, we'll see you next time.